and that was really the only way to do it back then. There was no physics, guys, nothing like that. So I would use stuff like this all over the place. I'd come up with these nice little tricks to kind of suck you in, and not everybody noticed it right away, but like it felt good, and that was the response, right? I was like, why does this area feel really good? It's because there's secondary motion going on. You hear animators talk about it all the time, but basically trying to make the world feel more alive. And the way I approach level design is very much like a character. The level is a character. It's like it's alive. I mean, it should be, in my opinion, responsive. It should raise questions. It should make the player want to answer those questions, and it should help the player answer those questions with the way the layout works. Right? You're developing a vocabulary. So you come back here, and all you're getting is a first aid kit. And these used to open. They were like a door before we changed them, and when that opened, it would give you health. Basically, I think negative damage, to be honest. I think that's all we were using was the fact that a door in Quake could hurt you and cause damage. You could actually make that a negative number and you would get health. So that's, I'm pretty sure what that did. Yeah, let's see. Can I check the entities? It's not letting me, and I don't want to mess with that because I don't know what's in this FGD file, the configuration file. So anyway, this thing, you'd go over here, you turn the handle. I asked for these. This was great. I asked for momentary switches. I asked for a lot of things, and this was one of them. The idea that you had to keep holding something, otherwise it would twist back, and that's what that was. This is one of the first momentary switches. Maybe not the concept for it, but this is one of the, when I asked for it, we got it, I used it here. Anyway, so you open this up, it moves upward, bam, like you'd expect. Again, more secondary areas. This would mostly be darkened, but you'd see some of this dim green light fixtures, right? And then this one was bright and it was shining down on here in this area. So that would lift up, you would come down and you would land on, you would get this thing, the ammo, break the box. I believe, yeah, go through the water. Where the hell do you go from here? I think I can't remember. The water might have risen back up after you landed on it. So I used to mess with the player a lot to find out how far you could go with interactions before it broke down, because it becomes a navigational problem after a while. Let's see. This is one of the earlier layouts, one of the early prototypes. Screenshots of it have been available, but yeah, I think it's the Functoria still in there, but that's how they used to work. This isn't, no, this is yeah, just old stuff. So I'll look through the layout a little more. I don't have a ton here. I don't even know where a lot of the stuff goes, but I remember there was a drop down. Again, this is the deathmatch approach. These probably would have been sealed off, making a level more linear. But since this was something that I wanted to play with people, I made it wrap around. Okay, come down here. Okay, so this is a different area. Oh yeah, and there's like red light and shit in here, I think. Yep, okay, yep. Now I'm remembering it. But the idea, again, is like, hey, what can I do with the textures I have? There's a lot of creative texture usage, like chopping up textures to get this pipe conduit. That's actually the fan texture, right, that you saw in the airlock. So this is kind of the kind of thing you might expect in prototyping, right? You're trying to get your vibe going. You're trying to establish a style. Like if you look at these handrails, that's not a handrail, that's a pipe texture. It's the same, it's a yellow version of this massive pipe I use up here, right? And the stairs were actually meant to be stairs. How about that? Didn't always work out that way. But yeah, these long things, and this is fun because like you could, see sight lines looking down is different than sight lines looking up, clearly. One you feel at an advantage, the other puts you at a disadvantage when you're looking up, you usually, and somebody's up attacking from above, you usually feel like you're in a weak position, because usually you are. So if head crabs jump down there, that'd be pretty exciting. Well, I don't remember all of it, but I remember it comes back because I lived in this stuff. Like I can almost smell the breakfast sandwich that I ate that morning, or the espresso that I drank, and I can, or the tuna on a bagel, on the sun-dried bagel that I was eating for a year. No, this layout is not fantastic. So I'll circle back, but the layout was meant to focus a lot of sight lines because I was presenting the concept of scripted events. We didn't have scripted events yet. That was not a thing. So what I did is I hacked the fact that I can make scientists run or walk around, and I leveraged the shit out of that to make it look like they were responding to the environment. And this was meant to be shown at the very first play test where Gabe played all the levels with the whole company sitting behind him. And so I wanted players to be, I wanted everyone to see this type of stuff because I'd been talking about it. But you know, talk is cheap. You need to prove it. So I built the level to be much more narrow and guide your sightlines. So anyway, this is what you're going to see. You come down these stairs, you're like, what the? And then this is where a scientist comes running across. And in fact, at one point I had the G-Man in here. I can check, see if he's still here. That might be the G-Man. Let's see. E. Monster scientist. No, he was a scientist. Okay, so anyway, so the scientists would run. I just found this level tonight, by the way. I had no idea. I forgot all about this. I literally forgot about this level. I remember, but I remember now because I lived it. So the scientists would run here and there would be head crabs jumping out to kill him. And that was all we had to get this illusion of interaction. Again, it didn't exist, but it worked. People saw the potential. Everyone at the company saw the potential. And this was the end of 97. And I think I'm convinced that this had an impact on what we saw the potential to be. Like, you know, we weren't trying to ship an awesome game. We were trying to just ship a game and become a game studio. But once we saw the potential of like all these interactions, that I think the lights went on and the switch to flip. Because in addition to this level, I also had the scientists in the elevator who crashed. I also had them turning the lights back on if you turn them off. They never had animations for any of this, but it clicked and everybody got it. And that I think that was a big part of our decision to wait. It wasn't probably not entirely all of it. I don't think so, but I think it was a significant part of what we knew this could be something bigger if we supported it. Because I'd been talking about scripted events up to this point. I didn't call them that. I was asking questions. I was asking like, hey, can I have access to a character's animation? And a lot of the responses were just like, no, you have no idea where the player's going to be, stuff like that. It wasn't supportive at that time, but it's just a question. I didn't really have anything to back it up or whatever. So until I started building this stuff. And even then, to be honest, even the dark humor and things like that weren't well received at all. Like the elevator thing, not well received initially by individuals. It came together, I think, when Gabe played it at our review with the whole team. I think it was received differently, if I remember correctly. But while I was building these things and doing these dark humor things, not everybody was happy with that. They were like, "We're not a funny game. Take it out." So, and that's totally cool. That's a healthy environment. You want feedback from all angles. So so you can think about that. Like, and I did think about that. I'm like, well, if it's not a dark game, what else could it be? What else is interesting? So I think it was great that those things were brought up, that someone would say that and make me think about it. I mean, they might have said it in a crappy way, but it doesn't matter. It's feedback, and all feedback is good. And that maybe that's a pro tip right there. If you're getting feedback from somebody and they suck at giving feedback, try not to hold it against them. It's not an easy thing to do. But it's you need that feedback and you want that feedback. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm checking comments real quick. Yeah. All right. So let's go. I number the shit out of everything. I'm big into alliteration. That's why you hear sector or city 17. Well, I didn't come up with city 17, but I did come up with sector 17. Sector 17 test labs and a lot of that stuff what ended up being as part of the train ride. I guess it was vibing with Mark and we talked, we all talked about it. But I love stuff like that. I love alliteration. So for me, C17, and I number the shit out of everything. That's why you'll see big numbers because they seem to imply that this is an important section. It gives that area that you're about to enter an identity. And this becomes part of your vocabulary. So when you're building levels or you're designing stuff, even if that number doesn't mean anything, it gives the area an identity that the player, it kind of grounds where the player is in a way that they can actually talk about if they wanted to. If they said, hey, I went into this area with area 19, that feels like a real place. And imagine if I didn't have a number there, right? It would be like just another hallway, but it's not a hallway. It's section 19. Um, yeah, Half-Life One I think is definitely has more dark humor. Uh, in my mind, I remember the scientists getting spiked with the tentacles and stuff. Oh, so in this room you saw something going down. I think you saw head crabs would. Let's see. Let me check. Head crabs I think busted out through this glass, and that was obviously it was faked, but effective. It's just a bunch of triggers, and if you remember Quake, you had push brushes. I don't know if you remember that stuff. Monster head crab, there it is. Okay, great. So back in the day with Quake, you had push brushes. They would blow you around and push you around, and that's all that was. I would break the glass. The player would hit this trigger. Ooh, shit. We get this thing right here is a trigger. Player would hit that trigger. Glass would break. Head crab would jump out, and you're like, holy shit, this is so interactive. And that's houndours are head houndies. Yep. But this is mostly head crabs at this point. So again, this is the first time people are seeing this level of interactivity. It didn't exist anywhere yet. It didn't exist in Quake. Didn't exist in any of our other prototypes. So every turn, something's happening. And again, that's why you're playing in a big tin can hallway. Guys running around, monsters attacking them. You're like, holy shit, what was that all about? And while your brain is processing that, head crabs are smashing out a glass in front of your face. I have to remember what this one is, but I think this one opens the door and a scientist runs out. Let's see. Yep, there he is. So every turn there was some shit going down. It was such a high density that you couldn't ignore it, that there was something special happening. And I think that, and there was another guy up here. These things exploded if you shot too quickly, you blow yourself up. And that was like, you're breathing heavy at this point. So again, not the prettiest thing, but it's experientially dense. And that's what players, Gabe is the one who played this in front of the whole company. That's what everyone was witnessing. And you come around in this big tin can. I think we had some decals, blood decals, another trigger. I forget. I don't know what this does. I don't remember what this is. Let's see. Monster Barney dead. Okay, so we had a dead Barney. Oh, you probably got the gun here. Yeah, you got the gun. There's the blood. There's some ammo. Yep. Whoops. Man, still not used to using this. It's been a while since I've edited. So yeah, and then you see that guy. You may have taken some damage. Maybe you blew yourself up in the face with those cans back there. You go heal up. Boom. And then you're ready to go on. And you go into a duct. You're like, okay. Head crabs, whatnot. And then you drop down into, I don't know where we are. I think we're back at the beginning. Okay, so this was trying to remember the level flow. They all have a destination, but I was saying earlier that I did wraparounds a lot, so we could play these in deathmatch, so everybody could soak up the space. So they weren't necessarily great single player layouts initially. They were meant to be blocked off and updated. But this is what we got. So let me see. Yeah, deathmatch totally, because you come up here and pop somebody. You look at all these places somebody could be coming from in deathmatch. There, in front of you back there, down this stairway, in that glass area, coming out this door, and you're just camping out with a det pack or some grenades, which we didn't have at this time, but you get the idea. It feels mischievous, and that's kind of the idea. So this would ultimately turn into, oh yeah, I remember this. Maybe you will too. Remember this? Does that look familiar? Because this is where it's coming from. This is the level, the first time anybody had ever seen the, I guess they call him the dumpster scientist now. But, oh yeah, another broken vent. This was your door. This changed into an airlock, but this is what I built first. Again, there's that signage, that inset detail with the radiosity looking pretty cool. But remember, this level is nothing like what went into the final game, but this guy stayed in. And I read that people were there was water in there. I don't remember putting water in there, but I might have done it for a gushy sound. Somebody else might have. But the whole idea was like, go away. Don't tell anyone I'm here. And there was no script. Scripted events didn't exist, so I couldn't have him crouching down and pop up his head. I had to build a lift in the floor. So this guy, even after we got the scripted event system in place, this never changed. We never got the scientist to actually crouch down and pop his head up. So we just kept the old one in. So that is actual prototype material being left in the game. And this is where it's coming from. This is the very first version that ever happened. First time anybody's seen it. And again, remember, Gabe is playing this in front of the whole company. So everybody's seeing this for the first time at the company. So kind of like what you're looking at right now, like everybody at Valve is seeing this for the first time as Gabe played it. So it was kind of a moment. And you know, it's intense. Like I didn't know what to expect. I was excited about it. I felt really good about it. And it worked. The tone changed after this for sure. But that's it. So then you have this big door. I just made something, I don't know, big and metal looking, just the design, pulling some stuff out of the air. And it was a big door that slid back on a track. And then this, I would love to find where I know where this hooks up, and you're not going to believe where this hooks up, or at least you're not going to believe the way it hooks up. But I don't remember the name of the file. Shit. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I got some maps. Those were RMFs. These are maps. Oh. Those are map files. And then these are the RMF files. So there's a lot of learning, a lot of junk. A lot of it's just junk. A lot of it's me learning how to edit better and, you know, be a better designer. So a lot of it nobody's ever seen. Yeah, he had a sound effect in there, but I don't remember what it was. It wasn't the actual audio because that didn't exist yet. I might have, I don't think I put the audio in there. I could check, but it's probably overwritten. Yeah, it was metal. It was definitely metal because that was my favorite texture. And we didn't have a lot of great textures at this time, at least for me. And what I was hoping the game would be like was more of this dirty area here. Spoke to me as like metal. So that's why I built it all this way. And it was my favorite texture for a while. All right, so we're on C1, A1, AX. Oh, God damn, I have AXX. I don't know. Oh, shit, I have no idea what you're going to see. Avert your eyes. That ain't it. That ain't it at all. Oh, shit, early labs. Wow. This blew up, and yeah, I remember all this. I don't even think I had an elevator in here yet. Nope, it was stairs. Oh, wow, this is just dirty old. The test chamber, which wasn't fantastic, right? I mean, it was the shape of the room was there. I didn't have the gadget figured out yet. In fact, once we went at Half-Life in earnest, I took that from Prospero, from one of the Prospero designers. The actual device that you see spinning in the center, most of that was taken from Prospero. Randy, I think, built that, and I aped it from his design. No, I didn't work on Doom 2, but I did build a lot of Doom maps. Yeah, that wasn't my texture folder, though. That was my map folder. Let's see. Dank and Scud. Holy shit, why does that sound familiar? Dank and Scud. I haven't heard that in a long time. Dank and why is that familiar? You got to tell me why that's familiar because man, but anyway, yeah, you would look up into the sky and all this energy would come down. The first device, like this is like the early Portal device, right? You can't tell now, but this thing would pump and parts would spin over here. This thing would basically just go back and forth. It was just motion. And there was a bunch of entities like sparking on it. That's all it was. It wasn't a big deal yet. And I think I had a scientist in here with you. Let me close this up and see if I could find the other stuff. I have no freaking idea. Oh, man. I want you to see it, though, because it's really cool, I think, how it evolved. See? Nope. No. No, it's completely different. This is a very different level. Not the same thing. But they're connected. And so I'm getting close. You don't know that, but I know that. So I was really big into the drama, you know, like the huge ladders, right? Like this was dark and there's only one light source and there's a ladder under there. And yeah, I hand built the ladders, which is like horribly inefficient, but you know, it's progress. Let's see what I got here. Man, I don't know. Yeah, this is not. Anyway, not what I wanted to show. Let me close. Check some comments. Let's see. Son of a, I don't know. Maybe next time I'll have to sort this out beforehand. I did not think about this stuff. No, same thing. I'll give it one last try and I'll probably give up for a bit. It's not. It's not. Maybe a couple more. I'll try this. Experimental lab. No. Nope. Junk. So anyway, this is the downside of this. I don't really spend a lot of time looking at the old stuff, partly because of this, and I'm doing other things. But so I was thinking about going through the walking through how I make a map. I was going to present on some level design tips and the way I approach level design. So I was actually going to look at some maps, and I could show some evolution of Half-Life 1, but I think it might be a little more meaty to show a level I built a couple of years ago in the Source engine, because that is my style refined. This is my style. I'm developing my technique. I didn't really have a lot of technique. I was still evolving the way I use grids at this time. I was fast as shit because I did it a lot, but I was still coming up. I was still, perfecting my system of design. I'd been doing this for a year solid at this point. So pretty efficient, pretty effective, but years later, right? I don't know. That's just a corner. C180. Give that a shot. So one of these is everything like hooked up. Oh, these. This is the scientist crashing, right? This is the first time people saw that. So all these bastards were going to die. And the funny thing is, they didn't have lines to support that. They didn't have much. And I remember when they were playing through it, they said hello as they crashed. Before they crashed, you heard him fly and zoom by in that lift there, and they were like hello, and then they crashed, and it was funny as hell. And that's where I think the dark humor started to become sticky. Yeah, this was the old broken lab. This is you escaping from the labs. Right? Oh yeah, I had water on the floor leaking. Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's seen this. But you get the idea. You basically played this. It just didn't look quite like this. But the idea was there. Door got blown off the whatever out of the track. The old scientist. Oh yeah, blood everywhere. Good old times, right? This is the old control room, and I had a huge window in there because performance wasn't a problem yet. And this is the door. Oh yeah, you had a roundabout wave going in. It was a mess. Well, you're actually leaving now. You're escaping. Oh yeah, I guess the path was different. Check that shit out. Oh, and you had stairs down to the main lab. That's right. God, who designed this crap? OSHA would never approve of this. Oh, that didn't mean anything. The door broken, So basically you just messed everything up. You pressed a button, basically. You messed everything up. Doors were out of alignment. Blah, blah, blah. It was very dark, and there were flashing lights. I remember that. This light spun, so Funk Rotate with that effect. I told you both of these lights are spinning, which is very dramatic. It's kind of very intense. And there's blood everywhere. It didn't have the cool laser in it yet. John put that in, I believe. John added. I think they added that where the laser would trace the floor, which was fucking awesome. Sorry, that was awesome. But this is stairs. I believe I was going to try to build an escalator at one point, right? You can tell like the handrail, but it wasn't worth it. It didn't work well. I remember it didn't work well back then. So yeah, now everything's busted. You're sliding around, and you've already seen all this. But that's it. High ceilings was cool. Exposed pipes was cool. Coming back through the lab itself. Stuff like this. I remember building this now. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lab. Labs are, some labs are pretty sterile, or at least that's the tone. And it was it was a bit longer, clearly, right? You could see how much longer this whole thing was. And then later we decided, give it the crowbar here, smash through. But a lot of this remained the same. And now you're on your way back up. The ladder should be over here. Yep. The old damaged like ladder. Everything's lit. It's a super dangerous elevator. And then you are back up top. See, no rotating signs or anything fancy. Straight layout. Barney was dead, and he was stuck between the doors that were crushing him. Basically, the doors were banging on his head, on his body. So that's Barney. Dead Barney. That didn't fly, so we didn't do that. Right? So anyway, that's that. And that was a total not what I wanted to show, but let's try another one. Shall we? Does anybody want to see another one? It's stuff you've seen before. It's just a different version of it. So otherwise, I wouldn't be at all comfortable. I wouldn't show things that I thought were kind of classified or anything that was harmful by any means, right? That's a career-ending thing. But this is more like insight. People are excited about it. It's fun, and it kind of keeps things going, right? Let's wait for the next thing, right? So let's see. What was removed? What was disappointing? There's a I don't know. Feel free to let me know. Disappointed was removed. Always curious. All right. It was a C1. God damn it. I should write these things down because I saw it when I was poking around a few days ago. I saw, well, that is nothing. We're not going to go there. Anytime you see white, I just don't bother with it for, shoot. Let's see when A1A. Why not? Nope. It's another version of it's the pre-destroyed version. All right. So it's probably going to be a map file because those are older. And C1A1, A0, C1A1, B. I'll try this. Yeah. So the problem here is that I'm going between two naming conventions. And one of them is much more temporary than the other. So if you can bear it, I'll try to find something. I'm trying to find the thing I'm trying to show. C, maybe? No, god damn it. So many versions of this map. It goes to show you how much iteration happens, though. I mean, if you really look at each of those maps, there's changes in all of them. They evolve. And some are just copies, backups. Oh, here's A1XX. Son of a bitch. I know it looks the same. Anyway, I'll try one more and then move on to something else. Corner A level 01A, maybe? No. It's sure different though. Well, anyway, this was the old room. Yeah, these are old labs, but they don't look like much because they're not textured. That means they're really old. Yeah, these are I can smell these maps. There's probably a big metal hallway out here. Yep, with all the ceiling work. Yeah, I know what this is, but phew, it's old. Oh yeah. Certainly. Right, let's give another one a go. Sorry, I really wanted to find this, but it sucks that I can't find it. I don't think level 3. Huh. What the? I don't know what this is. And it doesn't look like much because it's white. Ha! Anybody have any idea what this is? Holy shit, I forgot about this. Wow. Anybody want to take a guess what that is? Oh yeah, the name's probably changed. Everybody used their own naming convention for a bit. Like my name's, yeah, you got it. Where's DM? No shit. Wow. I forgot about this. So I wish I had the textures on it. But so if I remember correctly, well, I know the story. I'm just trying to remember the naming story. So I built an early map when we had just, first working with the Half-Life engine or the modified version of the Quake engine. So the first time my early days at Valve, the earliest weeks there were in Quake, literally in Quake. And then while more things came online, I started to build in Half-Life. And this is one of the first areas I built. And there used to be a forklift in here. And and this was again built to be deathmatch, but we didn't have deathmatch functionality in yet. So wow, this is a really stripped down version. But the idea is I wanted to make a level where somebody could get the drop on somebody else. And one of the things people might not remember about Half-Life is that it's a lot slower than Quake. When we played Quake, you're running at scale of about 80 miles an hour. And that's ridiculous. So we wanted to slow it down. And in doing that, it changes everything. It changes the level flow. It changes the size of your level. And that's really kind of what you're seeing here a little bit of. Is that the idea that I can be in a small space and get the drop on somebody, or if I'm hurt, I can just do some clever juking around the boxes or around a pillar and get the drop on them and win, or get out of there or run away. So what happened was I built this, but we didn't have multiplayer in. So I brought it into Quake, and that's where I called it Where's DM, right? It's just a warehouse, and there's the Quake level of it. Now let me see if I could find it. I might as well show it if I can find it. Don't look at my drive. Get away from there. Where's my stuff? There it is. Stuff. I'm trying to find some pics that I could show, and they're fine to show. They are in. Oh, not there. I know where they are. Sorry, it's boring right now, but I'll find some. You'll see. Oh, these are fun. Yeah, I'll save those. Let me see. Not mail. Not that. Not that. Where the hell am I? I'm usually much more organized than this. I just haven't been. I didn't plan on showing any of this stuff. Let's see. It feels pretty good. Like initially so somebody asked, how does it feel being one of the people who helped change the structure of flow games? Well, there's an impact there for sure. These maps don't work, but they could easily be made to work. They're just text files, right? I haven't had luck compiling them, but I also haven't really tried too hard. All right, let me poke around my drive here. I want to try to find something. Where's my stuff? Not there. Okay, so it must be in here. God. Oh, I know why. Games. Material. Pics. Probably that. Nope. Portfolio mats. Not quite. Where the hell? Oh, here we go. All right, cool. So, let's see if make it smaller, less obnoxious. Hang on, I'm going to close this and see if I can show this picture. So, well, I should have showed it compared to that level, huh? But if you could see that, yeah, we played the hell out of this, and it was fun. It was so fun because it's got the explosive boxes in it. I did like 3 layouts for this. There was one where this one has the rocket launcher there, but I moved it over into one of the bays outside, and you could see the lightning gun ammo up here, the rocket ammo over here, and you couldn't jump up on these. These are 64 or 128s high, so you couldn't jump up on those. You would need to use the 64s to jump up on there. And so when you got up in one of those positions, it was pretty powerful. There's the nail gun. Oh no, it's the lightning gun up here. You see that? And but anyway, yeah. So I wanted to play the crap out of it, and we did. And then when we got Deathmatch back in into Half-Life, I put the map back in, and it retained its name, I believe, until it became Stockyard. And I still enjoy the hell out of Stockyard. It was a lot of fun. I love playing that level. What else? So this is interesting. Nobody knows what this is. I guarantee it. The only people who would know what that is somebody who worked at Valve like before I got there, because this is the what somebody at Valve saw. They saw this picture and they asked me for it. They asked me if I wanted a job in the industry, if I ever thought about having a job in the game industry. And I was like, no, but they were like, well, send me that level. And this is the facade. This is the picture he saw. And this is on IRC, Internet Relay Chat. It's how we used to communicate kind of before the internet blew up. But anyway, and it was cooler than AOL chat, right? So anyway, this was the level that they saw, or that he saw, my friend over there, and who I didn't know yet. um, but let's see if I can frame it in there. That's it. But you can tell, even for Quake, that's something you wouldn't see in Quake yet. It's very Quake-like, but there's a lot of detail in there that Quake wasn't quite doing just yet. So let's see, what else do I got? That's Dungeon Siege stuff. Oh, this was cool. So see if I can remember. All right, cool. So one of the things, remember when I said when I got to Valve, I started building in Quake, right? In the Quake engine, because that's all we had. And I don't know if you could see that very well, but this is a clock tower, and these doors actually work, and ogres come out of it. But you push this button, all these colors move out. Like, it takes a while. If there's a delay in it, and it's creepy, right? It's meant to be a creepy interactive thing. So you'd go push that button, and all these little arrows, you'd wait a second, then these little arrows would start moving slowly outward from each other, and then you'd hear a click, and then nothing would happen for about 2 seconds, and then these doors would open and ogres would run out. You know, if you remember the ogres in Quake, they're throwing grenades at you, they got their hammer over their head. It's hilarious. So they live in this clock tower. And I almost tried to navigate this clock tower in the editor. They're just pictures. I don't have them. But the other thing that was interesting is this ladder. They didn't have ladders back then, right? So, but the way I fake ladders is by making stairs. So these are stairs that are very close together, but they look like a ladder. It's another thing that nobody had ever done. It didn't exist in Quake, so therefore it didn't exist anywhere yet. And you could get into this clock tower, and it had the gears and stuff in there. It's pretty cool. And this is another one, and this one is based on Astorga, which is one of my favorite architects is Antoni Gaudi. Most people know him for the Sagrada de Familia in Spain, but he did a lot. And this is the Astorga he built in France. It's a French commission, I believe. And it had parabolic arches for a doorway, which is another thing. I just couldn't build them until I got into Max. But this is another thing that I built while I was over, one of the first things I built at Valve with the Quake engine was that clock tower and this. And this is the stuff that, some of the stuff that they would see, that Abrash would see, and the guys from id saw, which is why they wanted to interview me. They saw those things. That's just a game I made end-to-end in Unreal and shipped it. I mean, made an iOS game, but hang on. Let me look at some more pics, see if there's anything interesting in here. This isn't going to make much sense, but hang on. Yeah, the magic of CDs. Who would have thought? Let me see if I can zoom in on that, because there's something funny about this picture. There's a funny story behind this, and you might not care, but I'll tell it anyway. Can you see those names? So anybody who doesn't know, Graveljaw has been my handle. I don't know. It's been my handle for a long time. After Thanos, I just changed it to Graveljaw because it was funny. It's basically what happens. A friend of mine, when I was really young, rode his bike down the side of a hill, and he crashed on the curb and hit the pavement face first. And his jaw and everything was all messed up, and it was full of gravel. So now you know where that stupid name comes from. I only have my old levels. So let me, I don't even have those old levels. Honestly, I don't have anything that shipped directly. So I'll just straighten this out right now. The stuff that I have is between 96 and 97. Some of it has been seen by the company. Most of it has not. Most of it is me learning. Most of it is me with scraps, because I didn't know we were going to do anything big. I planned on going back to school after this. So I just saved my work on floppies. And then later, like something like 20-something years later, I burned them onto a disk. And that's what, I have. So I don't have other people's work. I don't have any final work or anything that went into the game directly. But anyway, this screenshot. So you're looking at Dr. Death and you're looking at Jake. And those names, they're going to matter. So I'm a huge fan of Age of Empires. I started playing it at Valve because, remember, Valve had Microsoft connection. So we had the beta of Age of Empires. And I love Age of Empires. One of my favorite games. Till this day, Age of Empires 2 with the expansion pack's my favorite game. But there are some other people in town who are really good at RTSs because they made Total Annihilation. So Jake is Jake McMahon, who worked, you know, on Total Annihilation, balanced it, and Dr. Death is Chris Taylor, who designed Total Annihilation, and Graveljaw is clearly me. So this game we played, does any of those names make a ring a bell for you guys? Total Annihilation. These are, you know, some pretty significant people, I think, in the industry. But anyway, so this is me when I was working at Gas Powered Games on Dungeon Siege. Only it wasn't Dungeon Siege yet. So we decided to play a game of Age of Empires. No, just Dungeon Siege. Period. Oh yeah, the Dungeon Siege wasn't named yet. This is early. When I left Valve and went over to Gas Powered Games. So Chris and I are buddies, and but you know, working with him back then, I went to his office and there's this awesome trophy, and I'm like, where did you get this? And he said, well, he went down to Texas and he played Bruce Shelley and the team that made Age of Empires, you know, because he's friends with them, and he beat them all. He beat the people who made Age of Empires, and he won that trophy. So I saw this trophy and I'm like, can I win that? if I beat you in a game, can I win that trophy? So we played, and because clearly he didn't think he was going to be able to beat me, and so we played. I chose the Celts, who I'd never played before, and I think they had the throwing axes, but I learned them on the fly, which is really my design philosophy as well. Is like I learn based on the context, the problem, the challenge, the technology, the timelines, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I approach games the same way. So I chose a Civ I never used, and look, if you could look at the numbers here, you see 27,700. Then Jake lasted a little bit longer at 9,000, and Chris at about almost 9,000. So it was a crushing defeat, and so I wanted that trophy, but I couldn't get it. He wouldn't give it to me. So not a great ending to that story, but that's basically, you know, it's fun. Like playing, you know, being at this company before, you know, Dungeon Siege went big, and playing with these guys were already, you know, industry icons by the time I met them, right? I guess I was getting a name too because you know, Half-Life was big at that time, so magazines wanted to talk to me a lot about that, and it was just kind of a little embarrassing. Like I don't honestly, as much as you see this stuff, I don't really like being like promoted for it. Like at a game company, I would go to game companies and I really didn't mention this stuff, so people didn't necessarily know I even worked on it, which was how I liked it. Let's see what else there is. Oh, you've probably seen this one. You guys seen this? So this was another looking for a style type thing. Let's see if I can. It was more of a whimsical look, you know, the blue lights and all that stuff. Oh, cool. Sorry, somebody was heading out. I missed your message. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. It's great. If you have any questions about this stuff, just ask. I'll keep checking. Oh, the dam. Yeah, stuff you've seen. Okay, cool. Different angles. Oh yeah, so this is a different part of the Quake level that Valve saw that got me the interview. They played it. So here's how that worked. Somebody at Valve asked me for the level. I didn't have it. They waited until about 6 in the morning for me to complete the level, and I just cranked it out. And that's what this is. Screenshots part of that. But it was a deathmatch level. They played it and they liked it enough to want to interview me, which I thought was a joke, but that's a different story. So it turned out to be real. And anyway, I was going to talk about this level. So this level is interesting because it's not a straight deathmatch level. It has some unique play mechanics in it. And that's kind of how I approach designing a level anyway. It's like, what is the key idea of this level? What's going to make it different? I don't want to just build a room that has cool visual angles, and not all the time. So in this one, camping was a big thing. You remember people would camp out the weapons. They still do it in certain games. Well, this level has an anti-camping mechanic built into it. And the way I did that is that there's buttons throughout this level. And oh, maybe I could find a couple. Nope. Oh yeah, there is one. This red thing over here is a button. And these exist throughout the level. And what happens is, if you think somebody's camping, or if you just see the button, just press it. Because what happens is, anybody camping around a weapon like this, or around a super health, there's actually a large teleport brush around that area. And so if you press a button, it will take that person and teleport them into a little box. And that box is at the junction of all of the rooms. So you'll pass through this area a lot. And in that box, if you whoever found the person in the box could do two things. They could shoot him and get the positive frag. They could press a button to let him out, or they could press another button that had a huge spike and then it would jib them, and that would give them a negative frag. And so that's kind of how that, it was called the bad box, but it was basically an anti-camping device, and it made play very unique. And you had to make a choice because the teleport to get to the other parts of the level was actually on the other side of the bad box. And so that was my trick, and that's why I built this. And it also made it much easier to build because I had a gimmick to play with, to try, and it was fun. These are from different games. You saw that one. That's one of the first Dungeon Siege levels. Let me see what else we got. Oh, oh, huh. I just found a whole shitload of maps I didn't know. Well, I'll save some of these because these are, wow. Well, I'll go to that. I'm going to have to investigate whatever that was. Sorry, you can't see it on my screen. I don't want to make everything public, but I will go through that. I know I have the stuff. I'm a little upset I'm not finding it. No. Projects. Shit. I'm really bummed that I'm not finding my stuff. Let me see. Sorry, I'm closing some stuff down. Not that. I thought it was in here, but it's not. Actually, you know what? All right, I'm only going to give this another minute. I don't want to bore you guys to death. Picks. Game. I'm a little bummed. I had the stuff a little bit closer than this, and I don't know why I'm not finding it. Visuals. Nope. Nope. All right. Oh, there we go. I found them. Okay, cool. So these are just picks, but we can see some stuff. Let's see. Okay, you saw all those. Yeah, you saw those. Okay. Okay, you probably. Okay. All right. Why not? Okay. So this stuff has been out there in some form because I remember seeing the green hallways, but I don't know if you remember. This is really old stuff. This is before photo quality texture, photo reference textures. We basically had a 1 megapixel, I believe it was a camera, digital camera. We're kind of new at the time, and we had a 1 megapixel digital camera that a texture artist would go out and use. But up to this point, they were still hand-drawn textures, and I think they look great for hand-drawn. The light, we got radiosity, we're still figuring it out, but this is just a hallway. So usually what I would do is make a beautiful corner, just make a floor treatment, a trim treatment, like you see the trim over here, right, versus the flat, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure nobody's seen that. This is just my personal stuff. So, inspired by a lot of architecture, I used to spend all my money on architecture books, photography books in fact, at Valve, we used to pile into the car and drive all the way down from Kirkland into Seattle to go to this bookstore, and we'd spend all our freaking money on books. We would I could show you my books sometimes that I still use, but these are all like books on architecture, and we would drop hundreds of dollars, and then we'd come home we'd drive back, and we'd geek out on all the cool shit. So for me, this probably came from something like that. And funny bit of trivia, a lot of the books I couldn't even read. They're in German. They're from other countries. They had the best photographs. Now you have like people invading, spaces and going to Chernobyl and getting access to these crazy industrial parks and putting it online. So, but back then we didn't have any of that stuff. We had to use books, and I still have some amazing books. So, Some of this stuff might look familiar. It's been out there, but the idea here was that you would go and turn power on. There was a vent tucked between two of these things, so a little bit of exploration. Um, this wasn't the power room, but there was the vent in this room. There's another room like it that was, you had to enable power. This was the first light that rotated. This is the first thing that I remember Gabe seeing it going, don't show anybody. We got to show that at E3. Hold that, until E3. And it was cool. So it's basically a piece of geometry parented to a rotating object that has, a self-illuminating texture as a light on it. And it worked. It really worked. So a lot of little cheats like that. And again, in the days of Quake, seeing things turned over and wrecked, we didn't have this. It didn't exist. Hang on a second. That might be better. Yeah, that might be better. So this level of detail was kind of a new thing, right? Um, and I think people have seen this. This is like another take on the area outside the labs. This again, it's like, looking at still riffing on Quake. And this room. So this was in one of my posts about what didn't ship with Half-Life, but they've been out there. People have seen this. This is like literally built from a piece of concept art that Ted drew, Ted Backman. And there were supposed to be there were monsters in the cages down there. This is the area below, directly below the labs, where they were experimenting on stuff, sending things through the portal, finding out what happened. That was kind of the seed, at least all I knew anyway, or I think all anybody knew. The story was not fully formed yet. This is the lab. You probably remember this from The Office. So I didn't build the Office levels, but I did build this puzzle. And you remember this one. A green soldier? So do I remember if there's a green soldier? I don't remember. No, not off the top of my head. No, I not coming to me. I remember the grunt guy with the gun, like the repeater, whatever, the heavy weapons guy. This is some exploration into like different styles. I'm pretty sure I just nabbed this out of a book, or at least highly inspired by books. I mean, places like that probably don't really exist, but the feel does. Like there are places. So basically, the way I use reference material is not just a copy. You don't really want to copy the stuff directly. You can, but it's more to capture the develop your language and capture that same tone, right? It's a difference between learning and repeating something versus internalizing it as part of your vocabulary. Yeah, Office Complex really shaped up. It was great. Early hallways, another one. Those panels in the light, the inset panels were lit with radiosity. This was an old screenshot. I know this was out there in some form as well, long time ago. But again, it's just the detail. You're looking at all the conduit and the suspended pipes and another version of the metal texture that I liked, so I used. The area below where the animals were held. You've seen that. I kind of showed that. And that was shown. This was on it's put out a couple of times, and one time it was with Ivan the Space Biker. These areas you've seen. That's what it looks like up top. Now there's supposed to be water in there. I didn't have it in that level at the time, but this level is supposed to be filled with water. The whole area below. So if someone's down there, you can hear them swishing around. And this was definitely a deathmatch map. It was definitely designed for deathmatch, and it flows that way as well. So everybody probably knows this one, or at least I think it was definitely in a magazine or two. This area went with that area, but I don't think it was as common. You probably haven't seen it, but you can notice from the texture set. This area went with it. It leads to it. And the area above, which you probably can't tell, is all glass. So you can actually get up there and run around. And there's a bit of puzzle element up there. And there were hound eyes that got up there. And when their sonic blast would break the glass, you would fall through. That's kind of the idea. So you got to be very careful up there and kill the hound eyes so they don't mess with your walkable surface. Otherwise, you have to, jump around the beams and find chunks of glass and stuff like that to step on. Yeah, I think this is some old stuff. I don't think you've seen that. It's the Sound Lab. I did a quick video on it, but oh, here we go. Check that shit out. Wow. So there it is. Do you remember that? So earlier I was a lot. There's hardly anybody here now. I think there's like 4 people. But yeah, I mentioned that I built a level with the earliest one of the earliest levels I built in Half-Life. This is it, and it was a warehouse, and there is the forklift that I talked about. That's it. This is the first forklift in Half-Life ever. And this is the level that became Stockyard. You can even see the boxes down here, right? And you can, let's see if I have the others. Where are my, hang on a second. See that level? Look at that level. That level. That level. Pretty close, huh? So you got that one and that. So yeah, anyway, that's what I was talking about before. Brought it into Quake so we could play test it, brought it back into Half-Life. That's that. What else we got here? I don't know. I don't know what else is on here, so it might be it. Let's see. Oh, hang on. Okay, seen it. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of those. So yeah, it's a bunch of shots. Old stuff. Okay. Pretty cool though. Let's see. Oh, shit. I lost him again. I suck. But anyway, that's kind of it for tonight. I think I'll wrap it up at this point, and maybe next time can I'll have a better idea where my stuff is. Check the I was checking the C1A1 maps. All right, I'll try a little. I'll try a little bit more. I want to find it, but and here's a new map you haven't seen. I know you haven't seen this one. I'll maybe I can post this one, and we'll see if someone is willing to type this all in and compile it. Wouldn't that be a prick move? Here's a new hidden Half-Life map that I know you haven't seen, and I'm not even lying. This is a Half-Life map, an unused one, but I'm actually trying to debug something, so that's why I brought it out into text. You haven't done it 10 minutes, but that is a Half-Life map. That's what they look like. But you wouldn't want to type all of this. No way. But there's all the target names and stuff like that come down toward the end. The lighting and all those values are usually at the end of those files. But they're just text files. Let me see. I could try and see if I can find that again. I'm just bummed that I forgot because I know I had it. I looked at it. I was like, oh, look at this. This is cool. Oh, so cringing at so many copies of this map. So I need to go through and delete a lot of this stuff because it's just garbage. I could try this one. I can try. Nothing is named properly at all. Junk. Such a hack. So I had a naming convention, but clearly I got better at it. I had to. Dungeon Siege was a massive management thing. I was a lead on Dungeon Siege, so I came up with not only a lot of the tool pipeline, but the whole process, the whole method of building the worlds in Dungeon Siege, the naming conventions, the art pipeline, so we couldn't make any mistakes because the way streaming worked, you could not make a mistake. You'd be terrible. Let me just check something. No, that's nothing. That's nothing. Nope. No. My God, there's no way to know, really, and that sucks. You know what? I'm going to search by size, I think. Let's try that. I'll just go through all this crap one at a time, at least for a handful of these things. And you can see, I got to check them all because there's so many variations. Okay, cool. This is a big one. No. Let's see. It's not the greatest thing, so I apologize. But if I find it, it's pretty cool because I know it's very different than what you've seen. It's just a different take. It's my original version of the Akira elevator that I'm trying to find, and there's more to it than that, but that's kind of the gist of it. See, nope. Oh, this is okay. That's post disaster. Oh man, this could be it. Nope. So, probably not. Double try. Nope. But these are all variations. You can see how much iteration goes on. These are all different versions. Mostly for me, right? I'm trying to figure this stuff out. They're not for anybody else really. So that's why I have so many of these files. It's just trying stuff. And the guys at Valve would, see one, if any, of some of these. Like they clearly saw these. These were the main ones that I showed. But a lot of the stuff was me just learning, so I didn't really show the stuff. That's interesting. Hang on. Let me see. I just got to zoom around and check out some stuff. So there's the early lab, their earliest version of the lab. I think people have seen that one. Okay. Let's see. Hang on. Sorry, I'm gonna look at my. You'll have it done in a minute. All right. To this day, I can probably remember any. Yeah, I can't. I can't remember the names of the maps. I have to look them up. I remember how I talked about them. How I call them labs, topside. Did you ever miss the look of the old light.exe? Um, no, it was all no. I like Radiosity, but I think I get what you're talking about. Like figuring out the right level of ambience. So using Radiosity early on, it was either super dark or the levels were just washed out with too much ambient light. So if you wanted the original Light EXE, yeah, there was yes, there was a transitional state where I still liked Light EXE better because it was more dramatic and it didn't bleed. So if you put a light somewhere, it was a stark contrast between that light and the black. So but when you got into Radiosity, we got into more of an ambient. There's ambient settings, so you were able to wash the level, and you lost a lot of that stark contrast. But you get used to it. The QRAD is definitely closer to natural lighting, and once you wrangle it in, you can get the same effects. And we developed QRAD too, to where we would get more contrast out of it, in a way, we would just adjust the fall off on the lights. One of the engineers modified it to do that, and it made a big difference. And they also made the dynamic lights more performant. Let's see. Try that again. Yeah, this is old Half-Life junk. Let's see. This is This one might have actually played. Yeah, I think this one's actually configured. So shit. Hang on, I got to write this one down because I don't remember. So this level was called Industrial Arts, but it never made it into the game. There's parts of it, and parts of it would actually end up in Half-Life 2. One of the puzzle ideas. Sorry, I left you in a really ugly place. That was a really shit place to look. But this whole level has never really been finished. I had it playing. I got it to play. And this is one of the first places where the player would drop down onto something and the box would break. The top of the box would break. I remember that was a shocking moment watching people play that. So that was a thing. Oh yeah, so you'd hit this lever and these bridges would come out and you would cross it. So let me backtrack a little bit here. Sorry, I'm off on a little bit of a tangent, but these were. Oh yeah, I had rollers in there. No shit, I forgot about that. Ha, that's cool. Oh yeah, this is way more complete than what I thought I had. This is way more complete. Yeah, this will probably play. Shit, I thought I lost this. Ha, okay. So this is initially where you got. Let's see what's in there. It's the crowbar. Man, this is so old. The FGD file is so it's I'm sorry you can't tell what I'm doing, but I'm looking at the item. I'm figuring out what it is. And I believe this right here is I was a dead scientist. Okay, so so I have to check what all this shit is. Um, yeah, no, this was made. It just didn't get into the game. There's screenshots of stuff like this, and this stuff has been out in the press, but you probably haven't seen this version of it, right? So in this version, there was a scientist. Okay, you're gonna love this. So this is my sense of humor, right? Um, so there was a scientist in here, and you came into this room. I'm just gonna walk through this like you're supposed to play it. So do you guys remember the Akira lift down, right? But did you know that that lower room that it led to was also an Akira room, and the room that it was attached to was also an Akira room? You can tell I love that shit. So anyway, that this is where it connected. If you went through that canal, you would come out over here, and you would swim through here, and there was a bunch of zombies in here, and they're with like just their upper body coming out, and then you would dump off into here. That's a bottleneck. You can't get back out, and then you would see this long. Where is it? Where's my man? I wish this was lit because this was intense. This was so freaking creepy. You hide, and you would see this ladder, and you wouldn't really even see this ladder. It was so dark down here. You would just see light up here, and it would die right about here, and you just see a tiny, tiny little light. So you go all the way up here. So it's all drama, right? This is those architecture books I was telling you about. You climb all the way up here, and it's still dark. Dead body in here with a health kit. I don't know what he was. Let's see what he was. Dead scientists. So these poor bastards were dying all over the place. And you go into here, blah, 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 very narrow, awkward space, another ladder all the way up. So you're getting back up to the surface in a way. And you hit this machine, and it's not on, it's off. So then you're like over here, and this is my sense of humor. I'm like, beware of falling boxes. There's a button. The player's going to assume or probably be worried, right? This is building suspense. So the player's, you're trying to make the player, on edge, right? Like, oh yeah, that's going to fall on me. I know it. And you're going to feel stupid if it happens, but what are you going to do? You want to hit that button. So you hit the button and nothing happens. It doesn't happen. So you look around a little further, you notice this body in here, and you see this lever. So you go over, and when you turn this lever on, the gears start up, they pull the body in and crunch him up. So he disappears. So what you've done is basically putting you in a situation where you did something horrific, right? And it's supposed to make you chuckle, but it's dark humor, and it wasn't widely accepted in the game quite yet. But this is kind of the stuff that I wanted to push it, see how far we wanted to go into this dark humor. So anyway, you got these gears running, right? These gears are running, and now you go push that button, and it starts the conveyor belt. These start moving. So keep in mind, this one wasn't here. This one is just here for lighting. It would get teleported to another place on a track later. It's kind of a nuance of level design. But the way this works is you're like, well, I certainly can't get up there. Hang on, this helps to be able to see this. You saw this, right? Kind of hokey looking, but it was this big chain. And you can climb up here to explore, but you wouldn't get far. You'd be able to run around up here. And if you'd already started the boxes, you'd be in trouble because they'll scrape you right off into the drink. You'd be dead. That was black down there. You couldn't see it. So anyway, the idea was, you could walk around, figure stuff out. You hit a trigger there. I forget what that does, but it does something. I had interactions everywhere. So there's lots of triggers in my levels. And oh yeah, so then you would walk around here, and the idea is the box would come around, you would hop on it, and then ride it across the chasm. And then to get to the next level. So here, this thing right here makes it so you can't ride it to the next section. It knocks you off. So you have to basically, it forced you to play these areas. So you come into here. Oh, I hope the box is there. Yes, this is awesome. So all right, I might figure out how to compile this one because this will play. And there was a box down there. And I'll never forget watching people play this at Valve for the first time. They would jump onto that box because otherwise it's a big fall, and they would break. They would break and find themselves inside of it. and then they would bust this out, and then the Houndites would show up. And it freaked everybody out because it was, this is the first time we'd experienced jumping onto something and having it break under your feet. And we would end up abusing the hell out of that, right? that would end up getting used quite a lot. So anyway, so you would come down here, and I'm trying to remember the flow now, but some things were just dangerous dead ends, a little sign. This is a nod to Warner Brothers, right? And this was this is a scripted sequence. This is where the Panther Eye would knock a scientist over into this. And this is black. You wouldn't even see this. It's a trigger that would kill him. And there's a trigger that would kill you if you jumped in. So if you wanted to try something stupid, you could jump in there and die. But there's a scripted event there. So yeah, we had scripted events at this time. Just boxes to mess with. Oh, secret. I don't know. I don't remember what the hell this did. Okay, it brought you back. It brought you back down to that long ladder climb. So yeah, you wouldn't want to fall behind that. That would suck. So not always the best layouts, but again, I'll reiterate. A lot of the layouts I did, even though they're single player, I kept multiplayer in mind because that way we could play them as a group and have some fun messing around in there, getting familiar with the layout and getting the ideas flowing. So my early layouts, even though they're ultimately single player levels, I built in a lot of wraparounds for multiplayer. Yeah, the Panther Eye. Yep, Panther Eye was alive and well at this point. So let's see. You go in here, blah, blah, blah. You come up here. You ride across the chasm. You get knocked off. I'll just blow through this. You find your way around. It's hard without lighting. Oh, shit. I just looped around. Oh, never mind. You're up here. I forgot to put a handrail up here. But you're on this area. So the idea is that you would see an area where you'd already been. Not a lot of identifiable signage, but that's what signage is good for. Like a number. If I had a number like 10 or any number here and you walked back on, you came all the way around here, you would look and know, you'd identify and go, oh, I'm up on a higher level now. And it would have been nicer to the player to put a handrail here so they couldn't accidentally fall off. So again, this is old stuff. It wasn't refined, but it played for sure. Another trigger, if you jumped off there, something different would happen. If you jumped off here, you'd get hurt. So accounting for this is another trigger, something different would happen if you triggered that. So a lot of interactions were going on in these builds. That was the idea. All right, so let me find my way back up. Okay. Oh, this area. All right. Now I know what's going on. You might remember this. So this is another, me doing the dark humor thing. This is the dead scientist with 0 days since last injury. So there's a crushed scientist under here. If you don't believe me, there, scientist dead right there. And let's see. But there's screenshots of this out there. And basically, this is the puzzle that you'll see in Half-Life 2, or a version of it. They use cars instead. But the idea was that, hang on. Yeah, I used to design very dense stuff. I still do. Like if you played Tales from the Source, the level I built in Source a couple years ago, 2019, yeah. If you play that, you'll see that I like the density, not all the time, but like it's harder to do and it's more taxing. It's more of a design challenge. But it's hard in many, many ways. So if I ever want to flex, I'll go with a dense layout and I'll work with that. So if you play Tales from the Source, you can get it on Game Banana or ModDB, whatever. Yeah, you'll see some of that. Now it's not visually polished. I think it looks good and it looks fine, but it's not visually polished. It's not refined, but it plays. So I've done a couple rounds of feedback on it. It's playable, got some good feedback. So I could recommend it in confidence. There's room for improvement, but I think it's fun. I've heard it's really fun. So give it a shot. You'll get an idea of how I built that level anyway. So yeah, this is very dense. And you'd come in here and there's all these buttons, and these buttons would lower these. And you could stand here. If there's monsters in here, and there were head crabs and Houndeyes, these would drop them onto the monsters and crush them. But ultimately what you had to do is lower them hop up onto them, hit the button, and the button would take you all the way up here. All the way up. What the hell is that? I don't even know what that is. Hang on. A head crab. Okay, so you lower that and there's a head crab on top who jumps on you. So yeah, there's another jump scare, right? You're down there, you lower this thing, head crab in your face. You're like, thanks, Brett. So now you're up here and you had to position these boxes in the right place and then you would hop down them. But this ended up being pretty hard. So you'll notice in Half-Life 1, these are all turned into green boxes and they start set up. You don't manipulate them at all. But you'll start up high and then you just run across them. And that's how you get to the office complex or the elevator, if I remember correctly. So that didn't exist. That's what this was initially. You had to run across the top of them to get to another room because the door was broken. See, that old chestnut, right? The broken door. And let's see. I don't know if this is connected to anything now. Probably not. I don't know where else that level went to. Let's see. Oh, there was a door on the other side. Okay, so you unlocked it. Again, tight stuff, tight. Looks like it was just and a lift up. What the hell's this? I don't even remember this anymore. Okay, so now you're back in this area. Okay, now you're in the new area. You can ride across the chasm. Okay, now you ride all the way across, and then this is where I let you set a backtrack. So you hit this switch. These platforms roll all the way out. If I can get it to work. Yeah. Anyway, these platforms roll into position, which I won't save. I fucked it all up. These platforms roll out into position, and you have a way to go back and forth. Now you can travel freely between that area. And I think I had another segment you ride across, and then you end up in this old area which is the map I've been trying to find. The map with the Akira elevator. And I'll give it one more shot, but that's where this was supposed to go. So this connected the Akira elevator. This was the transition from that to the office complex. And now you know. We'll not save that, but I think I know what to look for. It's something full because it's a big map. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll build a really big map and put all the parts into it before I break it up. And I'll deal with the lag, it doesn't matter. Actually, they perform well. And then I'll circle back and chop them up into sections. Because remember, the layouts aren't usually completely refined visually. They're meant to play. I'm all focused on play. And I didn't focus a lot on visuals, but I would do visual tests and say, what do you think about this look or that look? And I certainly can do visual, polish, but that's not really where my skills were best put to use. Yeah, absolute zero, right? Okay, what is this? This is a Meg. Huh, what is this? Did I find something? No, but no, I don't think this is it. Nope. Let me just try again and then get out of here. Open maps, try another map file, and then I'm so sad I didn't do this. I didn't get it. Nope. That bombed. Looks like sometimes the map files are corrupt or something, which sucks, but probably resed if it really mattered, which I don't think it does, but C2. All right, we're not loading some solids. Nope. I'm just gonna keep opening stuff because now I'm pissed. I just want to rage open. I want to rage open files because it's so freaking annoying now. I already did that one. C1AX. I don't think they can get any smaller. It was a good sized map. Stuka bats. Oh man, I forgot about that. Yeah, get rid of some of this stuff. Yeah, the Stuka. Stuka is Chuck Jones' handle when we play games. You know, and Stuka is named after the German aircraft, the German fighter planes. You guys probably knew that. Um, oh man, so annoyed. So sorry. I wish I could find these, and that's not it. I'll keep looking. I already did this one. I don't think that's it. Nope. No, yeah, that was different, but all right. Open. I guess I can show something if whatever I find if it's good. See what labs. Oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, the items in it. Ha. No. Let's see. The bull scoot was interesting because it would spit long distances, and you know, bringing stuff from concept into the game is a trick, and the concepts are always awesome. It's a little harder to get. It's a little harder to translate them. So I think I mean, functionally, it was great. Visually, it was you know, it's hard to get the concept into the game, but I thought it was great. I liked it. Um, I liked it specifically, particularly as a mechanic. Um, so bad. No, it's not the biggest ones I thought it would be. So it's got to be in this other set. I don't know. I'm going to be so relieved when I find this, and I'm going to burn this one map to a disk because it shouldn't be this hard to find. It's ridiculous. I, uh, communication center, the old way. Oh, is that what people call it? Yeah, I was just showing a bit of it. Like that's what I have the most of actually, because I went through a lot of iteration on it. You're talking about, let's see. Yeah, this stuff. Actually, this is the bottom of it. I don't think the top is up here. This is the bottom section. So, where are we? Not there. There we go. I put a handrail on this version. And as Barney was getting his head smashed by the doors, which definitely didn't make it into the game. But that's my sense of humor. Let's see. Yeah, I was finding the most of that. That level. I was trying to find more of the Akira elevator. Apparently, I have no idea what this is. Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, everybody does. So, yeah, that's this level. This was definitely cooler for deathmatch. Like all these little openings and rooms that you probably haven't seen. But this had way more. I know it's got the Quake style supports and all that, but there's water down below. And the idea was that if somebody was down there, you would hear them sloshing around. But this is meant for deathmatch. All these windows, all these walkways, all these platforms, all these nooks, right? These places to hide and open up things. There was a platform in here that connected these areas. Again, not what I'm looking for, but you know, and then these would open up this door, and this door led to bam, this area, right? And this is leading to that presidential room. You're getting the more into the office, the more formal types of areas, and this is the upper area that was all dark and dingy with the hound eyes in it. There's a ladder up to it. That's how you get in there. There's a couple ladders to do that. You find your way through, and then nope, shit, this one wrapped around. This might just be the wraparound, like a deathmatch version of it. But it looks like I was starting to place objects, so it's possible we had. Oh, okay. Oh shit. This is the screenshot level. Oh, ha. All right. You watch this. Let's see. Let's see what these entities are. Cycler Doctor. Doctor. What could that be? Huh. Cycler Olive. Okay. So that's Ivan. Those, yep. Those are Ivan. So this is the level that the screenshot was taken from. I took the screenshots. I must have, because I don't know who else had this level. And placed these. Oh, that's right, I did. I built the whole friggin' thing. And they were fighting up here. These are the guys fighting up top. The one was kicking. That's what the cyclers were. The cyclers would play animation. So yeah, this is the screenshot that went out. Basically at the time, I think the office complex was a little bit green and and a little bit sterile. And there was a little bit of blowback from promoting the office levels as so much. And this level was more of a contrast, saying, it's not, the game doesn't all happen in an office building. There's stuff like this in it too. And that's, I think, what the nature of this screenshot was. But yeah, you are absolutely right. The green camel, damn, my man is up on this shit. I would not play you in Half-Life Trivia because I am not as up on it as I was. I'd have to look at the maps again. But yeah, this was a multiplayer layout, right? And it was meant to everything, look at all the walkways, right? And all these different areas. Transition space, right? That's it. And it goes all the way down to this lower level. There's 3 tiers, right? Just places you can hide. This one goes all the way back up to the ceilings, right? Where you could break out the glass and get the drop on somebody, stuff like that. But anyway, that's not the level I was looking for. And you've seen this stuff. You've probably just not seen it, it navigated, but the screenshots are out there. These aren't new spaces, and I probably won't show anything that, I wouldn't show any, trying to imagine what could be disruptive about any of this old stuff. A lot of it's just, quite frankly, crap, but it's kind of interesting crap. It's crap you can learn from. So I don't know what's bad about that. Maybe this. Nope. All right, never open that one again. There's just too many. This might be something. Hey, I found it. It's called bullshit. It's called BS. So you can tell what I thought of some of my work. But you never know until other people play it, right? This is, you're not going to believe what this is, but we'll see if you can figure it out. Okay. This is the other side of that door. Doesn't that look familiar? Where I just was? Remember the trash can scientist was over here? The dumpster scientist was over in that corner? This is the transition. So once you open this door, you never saw back there again. It would transition you right there, actually. This would put you in the next level, and this door would be, what kind of door has hollow, right? You just walk right, cram your body through there, or send like a chihuahua through there, or whatever. But anyway, so this led to this area, and it wasn't anything, right? You come in here, you're like, what the hell is this crap? And there's these 2 things on the floor, right? And there's a scientist. One of these is a scientist. Yeah, there he is. He's hiding. That's right. He's hiding back there. So you're supposed to see his head poking out. See? I'll prove it. Monster scientist. If you can read that. So you come in here, and he's terrified because there's head crabs all over the friggin' place. And I think some of them are coming out of. Let me find my top down. Oh yeah, this is the map I was looking for. I gotta make a note. Old Akira. All right. So you help this guy out, and now you got to use him. So you call him over. You hit use on him. He steps on one of these things, on one of these plates. You step on the other plate, and then let's see if I can get this to work. I don't know. I'm going to try to do this in the editor, so cut me some slack if it sucks. But this is what would happen. See? Did you catch that? That is not in the final game. So the idea was the Akira elevator was supposed to be hidden behind those 2 doors. Right? It was supposed to give you this. Once you get that scientist onto that pressure plate, you jump onto the pressure plate, and you get this. They both do it at the same time, but I can't. I'm in an editor. That's what would happen, and you'd be like, "Fuck yeah! I know what that shit is. I read manga. I'm cool." Only a lot of people probably didn't at the time, unless you were like ultra cool. But anyway, so that's how that worked. And then you come over here, and you'd be like, Well, that's dangerous. Mind the gap, right? And let's see. And then when you stepped on it, I think I had it auto start. I didn't have a trigger on it yet, so this isn't the latest version. I had a version where there was a switch on there. You'd have to go up and then jump on it. But the whole idea is that you're coming down here and head crabs are going to slide down and you're going to hit them with your crowbar. That's right. That's the idea. Yeah, it was supposed to be secret. Not really, but you know what I mean. It's supposed to be a reveal. So it's about the drama, right? This is all emotional shit, right? So when you're doing level design, for me, it's all experiential, entirely, every freaking step. So I used to design a lot more well, I design very densely like that. And if I need air, I can break it apart to get more breathing. So it's easier to get something to breathe than it is to create a good density. And that's kind of how I'll usually set a tight beat map when I'm doing a level. And I'm about to release a level design post tomorrow about just starting to think about level design and see if people are interested in that kind of thing. But I like to think dense and all of the beats on a timeline, because if I need to add space in between those events, it's much easier to do than it is to, well, in some cases, it's often more easy to add breathing room between a bunch of cool ideas than it is to come up with additional ideas, because then those ideas might be out of context. But either way, it's good to be able to do both and more. So anyway, you get all the way down here and you're like, blam, you're in this, you're in the drink. Hound eyes down here. There's a hound eyes, only not yet. You don't see them. You don't see any of them yet. You're just like, what the hell? And you can go and get some health. And then you're over here, and I let you explore a lot more in this level. So you could actually pass through here, and as soon as you think you hit this trigger or this trigger, this breaks open. There's a hound eye in it. You can see that the box is not solid. It's kind of broken. 2 hound eyes in it. So you get to the bottom of this, you start walking around, and boom, boxes explode, hound eyes, you got to fight. Anyway, after that, you're like, okay, well, let me explore this place. This would have a broken bridge in it in the final game, but the first version, nope. First version was more combat and basic storage. And then Sector 18. So you remember you came in the game Sector 17. That was the plan. That was an idea. I love the way it alliterated. I love the sound of Sector 17. So I use that. You come in here, and this was we had scripted events, and this is one of the earlier scripted events. I would basically take my geometry and export it. You can export your geometry from Hammer, this was actually WorldCraft at the time. You could export it, and you give that to somebody, an artist, who would bring it into Max. So they would take this OBJ file, I believe, and to Max, and then animate to the geometry. And this was the scientist you've probably seen online. There's some videos of it, of him hanging on, and then you walk over here, he falls into the drink, and down there. So you're like, whatever, sorry, dude. And you keep going, and you transition through all this, and now we're getting into territory that people have not seen. Oh, I don't have the other side. Are you kidding me? This would lead to another room, which I know is out there. You've probably seen. It was Sector 19 on the wall, I believe. And it was a platform over, oh God, it's hard to describe. But anyway, I really liked it. It was super cool. And it was connecting you to the office complex. You were going to leave here. Let me back up. I'm going to back up. I'm rambling now. So you saw all this stuff, but ultimately you come to a dead end. And there's nothing you could do. So you have to come back. And there's a couple of ways that you can play this level. So I didn't build one path. When I built, I took a death match approach, but I also made variations in levels because I wanted the player to experience them differently. I wanted different players to have different stories. That's always been cool to me, but it requires a lot more work to do that, right? And then, when you have limited time and budgets and whatever, not necessarily at Valve, but elsewhere in the industry, there's less of an appetite for anything that the player isn't absolutely going to see. So, but at this time, I was still building a lot of variation. The player could go a couple of different ways, and I'll show you those ways. One of those is by jumping in the canal. The other one, probably didn't notice, but you can move these over here and climb up on here, hit this button. These were buttons for me in this level, right? You with me? Because this is not in the game. Um, then you would hop on down, get into the drink. These things moved up and they got out of the way. So then you would be down underwater and then come up from the water, and there's the zombie heads sticking out like about their shoulders and heads. So there'd be I gotta look up. Hang on, I'm gonna take that note, Dank and Scud, because I haven't heard that in ages. Yeah, like I said, I know a lot of this stuff has been out there, but I'm not sure people know the thinking behind it. Like I don't think anybody's ever talked about that. The three-way bridge. Oh, I think that's yeah. It was like a T section, right? It was a big square with a couple of platforms on it. Wow, you guys really know your shit better than I do. But yeah, I built all that stuff. And the idea was that you come back to that three-way bridge, or if we're talking about the same area, you would come back to that riding on one of those boxes. Remember when I showed you the conveyor belts and you're riding on top of the boxes? That was how you came out into that area. So after you went through all that shit in industrial arts, you come out riding a box and you see the three-way bridge going, holy shit, it's come full circle. And by that time, you have access to I forget what you did, but you basically turned on the shit to make the elevators work so you could get up to the office complex. And that's it. So I don't know how much Absolute Zero could have because I don't know. Uh, I know some of these shots are out there, but like I don't know if they knew about this underneath thing going under this area because that I don't believe was. What's Oh man, I'm not gonna type that out. All right, yes I am. I'm gonna find out. Hang on a second. And oops. And you're fighting with these guys half sticking out of the water. It's supposed to be creepy. And then you drop off into this section. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, you drop off into this area. And there's a pipe that's leaking a whole bunch of crap. And it's nasty. Oh yeah, there's a guy, obviously, you gotta have a zombie hiding around the corner. Um, they're down here, you're fighting, and then you see this thing. You're like, what the hell is that? And I don't remember where I put it, but there it is, momentary switch. So you do that thing, right? You already know, the drill. You know how this works. This thing goes up, and then you're here, and you're like, what the hell is this? Looks a little familiar, but I don't know. And then you come out here, and then bam, that's the Akira shot. That's the second Akira shot. So I don't know how many. I know everybody pretty much gets the Akira elevator, but not everybody gets this Akira shot. How much do economists, statisticians, and data scientists get paid? I couldn't tell you, but I would imagine analysts get paid well, right? Those people are becoming more and more valuable, and especially in the mobile space. No, it's cool. The game industry is loaded. There's a place for everybody. Come on in. The water's fine. So yeah. So anyway, you come through all this, right? And you go do your thing. So right now you've just pretend you just came down the Akira elevator, found that switch, came through the canals, went through here, went through this door, and you're like, okay. And then you transition to a level. And what level would that be? It's this. It's oh shit, not this one. Wait a minute, hang on. Not this one. It was sorry. Oh, no, it wasn't this one. It was the other. That's how you got to industrial arts. So you would go to industrial arts where that big gear thing is that crushed up the scientist. You would ride all the boxes across until you got back to that 3-part bridge that somebody mentioned. And then you would get to the elevator. You basically turned on the power and the elevator would work. And then you go up to office complex. That was it. Yeah. This is Hammer. This is Hammer. It was Worldcraft at the time, but yeah, that's what this is. And this is the early stuff. We're showing people this is the dumpster scientist where he came from. Like clearly, this is not the layout that was in the game. I guess I'll show this again for people that haven't seen it. Has anybody been here for since I started streaming? Has anybody been here for? I'd imagine people are new at this point. Yeah, so that's the thing is So when you're saying you're pretty sure someone leaked the Half-Life Alpha, are you inferring that someone had more than screenshots to reference their levels from? Autocratic. Uh, been here for the long. Yeah. So I haven't played any of that stuff. Like I don't have that alpha. Um, what I have is what all the other developers had. We used to take builds home and test them, and that's all I have. And so it's basically the same, just a crappier version of what everybody played. um, and then and this is just my scraps from 96 to 97. I literally have nothing after 97 at all. Because when we decided to reboot, my work was I got much more focused. So there was a lot of exploration here. I had to communicate. I wanted to convince and make a case for some of the ideas, like the tone of the game. I was trying to make a pitch for what would become scripted events because that wasn't a thing. I was trying to make a pitch for dark humor because that wasn't accepted yet. So that's what these maps that you're seeing now were. But the vast majority of my work was me learning how to be a better designer, like find a good look, learn the tools, get fast, right? And then, then communicate clearly. So by 99 or 98 rolled around and we rebooted, I was like, okay, now we're all in sync or we're all on board. We all like dark humor. We all want to go with scripted events. We like some of these elements and these prototypes. So my work became much more focused and I started building things with much more deliberately. And those were backed up in source control. I don't have those. I don't have any of my work that shipped directly. This is all my scrap stuff, learning process mostly. Yeah, I wouldn't release these. I just wouldn't feel right about releasing them. But if I chat with them, talk to my friends over there, and they think it's all right, then maybe. But then remember, I still got to compile this crap and make sure it plays. I'd want to make it play. I wouldn't just want to put it out there, and that's just time. So even if they do give you the green light to put something like this out, or just say don't worry about it, then I would still have to make a pass on this stuff. Yeah, like 0 days since injury. Cool. But yeah, this thing, had a lot of secret areas. I was very deathmatch oriented. This room. So I'll show the layout again because I mean I even forgot about this stuff. So there's no way. I mean, I don't think anybody's seen this. Sorry, I'm trying to find my way back to it is. There's the white stuff. Water? What? Okay. So this is basically where you start. So this is where you leave the locker rooms, right? You wouldn't see this because you've transitioned already, right about there. So this is where Barney there would be a eye scanner here in the final game. And, I had this really high ceiling that went off into the dark. Barney would scan you in, and by this time, he'd be dead, right? Because this is after the disaster. So he's gone at this point. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the 5.2, what that was all about. Like, so we had a version of the game that was meant to ship with the video card. And I think that was later though. I think that was much later because yeah, that had to be later. I don't remember what the alpha leaking. I don't think it didn't leak at that time. That wasn't a thing. That's only now that I think that's come out because I don't remember anything like that back then. Um, uh, so Big Daddy Solid, you made your first level using a Half-Life editor. What do you use now? Uh, yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm not really. I don't think that's very cool to do that, to leak stuff like that. Um, but basically, somebody. Think about who might have that disc, right? It's either somebody who worked there, which I highly doubt, or someone who nicked it, or had it and wasn't supposed to have it. Oh, you son of a bitch! I want to grow up to be a scientist. That was my whole goal. So Big Daddy, I asked what level he was editor he uses, but he's a scientist. So yeah, I was studying biophysics. I wanted to do research in genetics. But anyway, be fun to chat sometime. let's see. Yes, you're right. The day one was yeah, that it was the day one because it was closer, much closer to final because it caused, I believe, it caused another game to ship early because it put the pressure on. It wasn't supposed to leak, and then everybody from the industry was coming out of the woodwork saying how great this demo was, and we're just like, there is no demo. You're admitting you stole software. And people from other companies are telling us that they love it. They love the demo, and there was no demo. There was never a demo. So all these people telling us that they stole the game. Boston, nice. Biology and genetics. Yep, that's where I wanted to be. Who knows? In another life, we could have worked together. Sin, yes, it caused Sin to ship early. How do you know that? Did I say that? I don't think I did, but you're absolutely right. Um, that's what I believe. I don't know if that's true, but I firmly believe it caused them to ship early because they freaked out. They were like, "Oh shit!" And don't forget, back in you probably don't know this, but back then they were touting their action-based outcome system that was getting a lot of media attention. The magazines were talking about. So action-based outcome meant that the world responded or characters responded based on what you did. And they did have a demo out. I played it, and I wasn't worried about it. But I'll tell you this: people at Valve were worried about it. And I don't, I can't really speak for everybody else, but I know that I was not worried about it, and I know that other people were absolutely worried about it. Um, but I knew what we were doing was very different, or I felt it. I felt it that it was very different, so I wasn't worried about it. It didn't phase me in the least. But this was before this thing leaked as well. This is earlier in the process where not everybody might have been convinced that it was going to be anything special. So what I was talking about earlier is you come through here. This is an early this is a playable level that was shown at our first level design review ever, and that happened at the end of '97. Gabe sat down and he played through everybody's levels with the whole company behind them. The whole company stood behind him and watched while he sat in his, I think it was a Herman Miller, this awesome, uh, crazy looking chair, and we all watched him play the levels, and it was tense at times. It was over the course of a couple of days. It was quite tense. But so this level is one of the levels he played, and it was experientially very dense because scripted events weren't really a thing yet. So what I did is I hacked a lot of interaction into this area, and it made it very dense. So every turn, something's running in front of you, or a monster's coming out, and the only thing I could do with scientists was get them to run or walk, basically. No, it wasn't a big TV, but he had a big monitor. I think it was a big, I don't know if he had that big Apple monitor yet, but it was a big monitor, and we all sat behind him and watched for 2 days, 2 complete days of this. It's awesome. It's stressful. My stuff went last, if that matters. But so this is the last thing, this was like the last day, the last review, and he's playing all this, and he comes through the door, right? Sees a guy, a scientist, running across here with a head crab jumping out and hitting him. Turns over here, another scientist running across the bridge. Hound Eye's down below. All this shit going on, huh? Oh yeah, yeah. It was definitely worth the stress. I wasn't that stressed out, but there were tensions because we didn't. I don't know what the expectations were, honestly. At the end of a year, we were all exploring different places, and I don't know how much convergence we actually expected at this point. Um, I tried to make sure all my stuff was internally consistent, and I made it very dense because I was focusing on interactions more than looks, more than visuals. Yeah, this is way different. This is not, this is way different. But this is the area outside the lab, right? And you got ladders, you're up on this area, you just so you can go investigate where that scientist ran from, and lo and behold, there's more things going on, more scientists running around, more head crabs, and then there's a trigger which triggers more shit to happen. I think this thing was probably, I know this is a shortcut. This leads down to another area. It's a bit maze-like in here. But again, I used to build as deathmatch, and then I would refine layouts later. Okay, so you come down here eventually, and you come through this door, and you're like, what? Open up the door, and you're like, what the heck is this? And there's some guys over there, and there's this thing. And you've seen something like this. So I was kind of, how do you know Gabe's big monitor was a gateway? Talk to me. Awesome. Okay, so you have this big plunger thing. You've seen a version of this, which is older. This is like the one of the areas I intended it for to be used. And you come over, you turn the crank, the thing goes up, you drop down, and you collect your stuff. And I think this one wasn't a route. This wasn't a main route yet. This was just a way to get ammo, and I think the gun maybe. So when you open this valve, you drop down, but the water ended up bringing you back up top. So this wasn't the flow yet. It was just a thing to do to get some stuff. Signage everywhere. Now I'm trying to remember what the layout, where it went. I'm forgetting. But anyway, so that's that. That's this layout kind of. See where everything is. Well, it's got some size to it. But you kind of just, what's that over there? Oh, it's just bad geometry. It's building sloppy, I think. So that's it for that level. I don't think there's a whole lot there. I'm trying to remember where the water was, what I did with that water. Might not have used it. But yeah. Yeah, I don't think I used it. I at one point, yes, I did. At one point, this whole area was flooded because these pipes, right? So this is the kind of detail that people weren't seeing back in the day, right? Like this is Quake. This is where Quake was, and so there you didn't have pipes burst out with running water. You didn't have this when the player walked in here, when Gabe walked in here for the first time, he'd hit these two triggers right here. That's right, and those are triggers. The glass would break, and then the glass would break to get your attention to look up here, and then the scientist would run by and get hit by a head crab, right? And this was timed that things were going on, but there's no guarantee he would see this. But there's a lot of shit going on, and that's the whole idea, is to create a sense that the world is alive without you, with or without you. And that was the whole vibe I wanted to communicate, and it worked. It worked really well. After that, it was like, I think that was reinvigorated us. I think it had an impact on our decision to reboot, even, if I was going to take it that far. No, there's no funk details back then. Good question. So one of the things I had to learn and teach myself was how to build in a way that wouldn't cut up the world into oblivion, because every time a brush touches something, right, it would be a problem. So we didn't have funk details, but you could make them a funk tank or a funk anything. You make them a funk anything and they won't cut up the world, but they hit your budget a different way. So what I learned how to do was to pull them away from the geometry in some cases and see what they would do to the CSG splits, if that makes sense. He'll know what I'm talking about, I think. I think I had a G-Man in there at some point. He was on one of those walkways. I can show you which walkway I think I had him in on. I just have to remember my flow for the level. Oh, there it is. I think that's it. Let's see. Stairs. Down into this area, right there. So you'd come down here, and I think you trigger him. It wasn't a guarantee you would see him, so it wasn't the greatest thing. I thought I had a trigger here. There was supposed to be a trigger here for him to start walking across this platform up here. And then when you walk over here, you hit this trigger, this glass breaks, head crab gets pushed out, because it's the old Quake trick with the push brushes, right? You push the monster out. And then you walk over here, you hit this trigger, that door busts open, and a scientist comes running out, and there's a zombie behind him. There's a screenshot of that, actually. Where's the zombie? There's a screenshot of that exact scene, and this is where it's from. So you've seen a lot of these screenshots, but I'm just showing you where the level they came from and giving you a little bit more behind the scenes of the level itself. It's not a great layout, but it did what it needed to do. It conveyed that density. And now you're up on that walkway. I talked before about putting numbers on things. It helps the player identify the space so they don't get lost. Also gives it a little bit of an identity. And then you're cruising around in here, and you find a dead Barney. You get the gun. You get a little ammo. There's, if you can see it, but there's that. Then you climb through here, and I don't even know where the hell this goes. Your guess is as good as mine. And it drops you back down at the beginning. So this one, I don't know where the exit of this was meant to be. Honestly, I'd have to go find it. But I usually build the things as wraparounds initially to get other people in the level and get the ideas flowing. Oh yeah, and this is oh, never mind. I remember now. What am I thinking? So it was actually quite simple. So you don't have to go through all that stuff initially. I think you needed a key card or something. We're still on that idea. You come back here, and this is where the dumpster scientist came from. So you'd hit this trigger, that thing would pop open. We didn't have scripted events, and he was on a lift, and he still is. In the final version, he was still on this lift. I don't know what it's called, but let's see. Funk door, name, lid B, whatever. But this is where the dumpster scientist came from in this layout. It's the first time. Oh yeah, and I used color-coded pipes. That's right, because I was going to color code the level. But you can see they're kind of cleanly terminated. Not that that pipe would actually go anywhere, but you would terminate it. And just pay attention to details like that. Almost paying attention to textures, not entirely, but fans, right? This guy, you go around the back. And one of the cool things about this that I remember is that light. This light right here was the most disgusting, like bile, urine smelling light I could make. And I put the scientists, or the fly sounds in here. I don't know where they are. Let me see. I remember putting the multi-manager handled all that interaction. The multi-manager had to be developed too. I remember asking, can I have something that will fire multiple events? Because we didn't have that. We had Quake. You couldn't have something that fired multiple events. That didn't exist. You'd have to name a bunch of different things with the same name to get it to work. Sucked. Player start for testing. Anyway, you would walk behind that creepy area. It was like the lights were like green and blue, and then this yellow nasty light with the fly sounds. And it worked well. I think the sound's in there. Yeah, see? Ambient generic. No, this is a door sound. There's probably another one somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff I was doing. And this door is what led you to the secret Akira elevator that you saw before. Do not save changes. And that was, I'll just open it up real quick. And then I'm going to go to bed. And that brought you out from here. See this? That door? You'd walk through here, come out, level transition, and this was the thing that would be shared between the two in the barrels. And this is dripping into a grate in the floor grate. Had water sounds on it. It sounded cool. Had that gross looking light blend. So I was really loving the playing and blending colored light. But yeah, and then you come in here, and then once again, you'd see the scientist peeking his eyes over here, and you're like, you and your buddies were gonna leave me behind on that elevator before you all crashed to your death. So you might be still a little irked by the scientist, but then he helps you. You go and get him, and you make him stand on one of those. See those plates down there? You make the scientist stand on one of those. You stand on the other, and you're in this perfect position to witness this thing. Let me see. You're in the perfect position to witness this whole thing opening up. Bam. Right? So you and the scientist get this reveal. And I forget that right now it's wired so you hit the triggers and you both go down. But I built another version where there's a switch up here, and he was supposed to go do that. He'll throw the switch and send you down. And this is the Akira elevator where you're doing your head crab thing. Yep. Anyway, so I've already walked through a bunch of this, and it's getting kind of late. This map is sometime 97. I could probably look it up. Let me see. I will leave that there. I don't have anything else to show. Let me see. It was shit. Maps. Maps. I could tell you. It's just gonna take a second. It was. Where's BS? There it is. BS map. The date it was burned. Hang on. These are pretty old. 11/26/97. So November of 97. We were getting ready to do that prototype up to the playtest. Gabe was going to play all the level designers stuff for the first time after a year. So I record these. I put them up on YouTube, but I usually mark them private. And for my own personal use, because then I could decide, if they turned out okay, I can edit them down if we want to, but they're private. So I'll probably post this one there as well. All right, so I'm going to get rolling. Oh shit, 20 people. Thanks everybody for showing up. I know this was ad hoc. I really should get better at planning these so everybody can come and see the stuff. But anyway, cool. Thanks for showing up, and I will see you all. Oh yeah, leave comments and stuff like that and questions, and I can address them. Especially if you've seen this, don't worry about it being out of context. You can go to there's a post I made about questions. Just go dump it in there, and I'll remember what you're talking about. But cool. 8 a.m. in Denmark. Nice. You're awake 32, and I cannot do that anymore. But God bless you. Cool. Well, thanks for showing up.